Okay, so this is Matt talking about the hike camping trip I'm planning over the next 3 to 4 days. Just in case anything happens, hopefully nothing doesn't. So the idea is I'm going to be hiking from Bunsen Lake just by Port Moody up to Squamish. And the way I plan to do that is I plan to use the Indian Arm Trail going to Granite Falls. Um, and then from there make my way across to the Indian River, where there is an old road called the Indian River Road that goes all the way up the valley to Squamish. This section is about 38 kilometers long. I know that the road hasn't been used much over the last 10 to 15 years, so anticipating it's going to be overgrown and degraded and stuff like that. Possibly, um, I noticed there's one or two river crossings where there are bridges. Possibly those bridges would be washed out. Um, so I'm going to be tackling that as it comes. Uh, we'll have some provisions on me, some rope, um, some poles, and waterproofing from my backpack, so on and so forth, in case there is need for river crossing. And yeah, so the aim will be to leave Bunsen Lake tomorrow morning at roughly 8 a.m. The plan will be on day one to see how it goes, but the goal is sure, judging by it, the distance to make it to Granite Falls in one day. I know that there's still probably going to be snow on peaks, so that may slow progress somewhat, and also make the terrain difficult on the peaks. So I've got that in mind. With that being said, starting from Bunsen Lake, I do not plan to go to Eagle Mountain. Um, the reason for that is I want to try and stay off the peaks as much as possible because of the time of year. So the choice is to take Bunsen Lake up to or take the Dilly Dally loop, I guess, in the opposite direction to what people normally take it. So I will be going up past Bunsen Lake, following the Indian Arm part of the trail, the Dilly Dally Trail, and then just before Little Hole Mountain, I'll make my way up the peak on Dilly Dally. Then along Dilly Dally, I will be following the old Indian Arm Trail. I understand that the trail markers are pretty worn out and that it is not a well-worn trail or well-maintained trail by any means, that this is just um, uh, this should be tackled with care. So that being said, I do have, at this point I will mention, I do have a Garmin Fenix 6X in my possession, which is fully charged for 19 days of use. I will be using that at this point onwards to stay on the trail near as much as possible. I will not deviate from the trail unless I see a very clear, obvious route, and see a safer route. I will not try and go down a safer route further than I feel comfortable in or satisfied that it is safe in. Um, I will not deviate really far off the route as well. I will stay within a general parameter of the of the route. So I will not go, say, all the way down the mountain. I'm not planning to do that. So when I say deviate off the route, I mean probably like 40 to 50 meters in one direction, possibly if there's a safer route. But I will 100% try to stay on the route unless unforeseen circumstances come across. Anyway, so I'm going to go across the Indian Arm, um, looking at and reading people's reports of this. I understand that it can be trying in times, and I've seen that some people have had problems navigating. I'm hoping that my Garmin Phoenix will will negate that problem of navigation. I have checked, and this trail is on the Garmin. So I am planning on, as I said, to follow this. I've also used Google Earth to kind of look at the terrain. I understand this is different time of year, and you cannot by any means take this at face value as to what the terrain may hold. But I have checked this out to kind of see if the Indian Elm Trail here aligns to it. So the first section, I don't anticipate this section being too difficult. So this area here looks in reasonable, like within reason, pretty straightforward. Um, and reading people's accounts, I anticipate that this section here up to when you come down off the peak just north of Granite Falls is going to be the area where I have to be most aware of. Um, so I do plan to do this, as I said, in one day. I've gauged the distance, and by with my fitness and previous hikes I've done, albeit in the summer, but with 12 hours that I do have in the day, this section here to Granite Falls is 8 kilometers, albeit I know it's 8 kilometers of ascending and descending peaks, but like 12 hours of that, I'm fairly confident that that would be an ample time if nothing unforeseen happens. So, as I said, I will be making my way along this route until I'm north of Granite Falls. When I'm north of Granite Falls, I know the trail marker ends here, but I've been to Granite Falls before, and I know full well that you can actually climb up the falls here. From the campsite. So you can actually climb up the falls and go up Grand Creek. So even though it ends here, I know and I feel confident that I can actually make my way down the falls to the campsite when I reach this point. And I will then camp there on night one. So that's Friday night. If something unforeseen happens where I find an obstacle where I cannot get past and I feel very uncomfortable getting past, I will at this point note that I will have rope on me as well. So for very, very small descents, so in other words, nothing that is probably going to go past, I'd say 10 to 20 meters um, descent with a rope, that less than that even, I won't be tackling anything. I'm not going to be doing extensive climbing and abseiling down anything. It's going to be very, very minuscule distance that I'll be using the rope for. It's more for stability if I can see a clear platform to go onto. And I know that some of the ropes on this trail as well, I've read, have been chewed away by goats. So any ropes that, give assistance again for stability in certain areas, I will use the rope if I to make sure that that area is going to be secure, or that assistance is going to be secure. So that's purely what it is. As again, I'll reiterate, if it gets to a point where I can't see it being an easy obstacle to tackle, I will turn back. I will turn back on myself and go down the Dilly Dally loop back to Bunzten Lake. Upon reaching Granite Falls on day one, it I will then proceed with the rest of the hike after day one. If I do make it to this area on day one, which is just north of the falls. I know I'm not that far away. I know it's going to be a huge distance to go back. So if darkness starts setting in, I'm tired, and I feel that the descent in this area here down to Granite Falls will be it's not worth risking my safety. I've seen that the terrain is a lot flatter here, and it's a lot more hospitable and up on the peaks. So I plan to pitch tent around this area if I do feel like the light is fading on me fast and I'm too tired to descend to Granite Falls. So that's something to bear in mind as well for the first day. The second day's plan will be to leave Granite Falls and move up to the logging road, and I'll show you that. Logging road, sorry. Move up to the the wires, the power lines that are just north um, of Granite Falls. So my plan is to move up to that area where the brush is cut and maintained at um, a less thick uh, growth than the area around it. So the reason why I'll be going up here is because I'll be making my way across to this area here, where there is, I've read again from reports that there's a trail that takes you down to the docking area and river, the start of Indian River Road. So I'll be making my way down there. Again, I will assess this as I go. If I do see any issue, which I don't anticipate, I will continue along this maintained area and then descend down to the road wherever possible, maybe here. When I get to the roads, then I will continue on to Squamish. So this is going to be a 38-kilometer slog. So my goal is to push myself and try and get to 20 kilometers a day, so 15 to 20 kilometers a day. I am intended to try and do this within 2 days, but if I don't do it within 2 days because of unforeseen circumstances, i.e., as I mentioned, I camp higher up from Granite Falls than I anticipated, or I'm tired from the first day, so I need to take a bit more of a lie-in, then I can extend this trek to 3 days. So best case scenario will be Sunday evening that I'll be getting to Squamish. But the another case scenario will be Monday evening I will be arriving into Squamish. Um, so the plan is here to camp near the river at some point, so I have a water source. I plan to keep an eye on when I hit around about, like I said, the 15 to 20 kilometer mark. I plan to look for a sandy area or a bank somewhere, a clearing near the river, so I have a water source. Like I said, I will probably anticipate that I do that for the 2 nights. But if it's further up the valley towards Squamish, I know that the river does disappear somewhat, so I'll make sure that I do fill my water up when I leave the when I leave the river, which is down this area here, to ensure that I have some water towards the end of my hike up to Squamish. Um, I will have a GPS satellite tracker on me where I will be passing the details on, along with my list of provisions and things. Yeah, so hopefully that was a clear outline as to what I plan to do, and I hope that helps somewhat. Okay, thanks.